Hyundai has just revealed the Ioniq 5, a new electric car offering super fast charging, a range of up to 300 miles, and solar panels on its roof. But what is it, and is it going to be any good? We'll tell you everything there is to know about the new Ioniq 5 in this video. So you may already be familiar with the Ioniq name. That's because we already have the Hyundai Ioniq, a family car that's been around since 2017. That car was special because it was the first that you could buy as a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or full EV. Now, Hyundai is using the Ioniq name for a new range of electric cars. It's planning to have 3 fully electric models by 2024, and the first we've got the details on is this Ioniq 5. It's a family SUV that sits on entirely new mechanical underpinnings for Hyundai. It's based on the 45 concept, which was shown at the 2019 Frankfurt Motor Show, and that concept was itself based on the manufacturer's 1974 Pony Coupe concept car. And you can see this production-ready Ioniq 5 does stay true to the 45 concept styling, with quite a distinctive look. There's a few interesting features to point out, like these flush door handles which pop out when you approach the car, and Hyundai's first clamshell hood. There's also these interesting pixel-looking lights front and rear, and there's no traditional grille. Instead, you'll find the housing for various sensors and a V-shaped bumper with active air intakes. It's also got quite eye-catching 20-inch alloys too. There's 9 exterior colours to choose from, including 5 new ones for the Hyundai brand. Now, it might seem sleek and compact in this footage, but it's actually pretty big. Size-wise, it sits in between the Tucson and Santa Fe in terms of length within Hyundai's lineup, but it sits lower to the ground. So the result is a low-slung SUV that, for some EV context, is much bigger than the Kia e-Niro and actually a little bigger than the VW ID.4, but not quite as tall as either. But back to the dimensions, and the Ioniq 5's boot is very similar in size to the ID.4, but it gets an extra 57 litres of storage under the bonnet. If you go for a 4-wheel drive model, then the front storage is reduced to 24 litres. Inside, you can see it's got quite a futuristic look. There's these 2 screens for the infotainment and driver display. There is also a distinct lack of buttons, which, as we constantly point out, means it's likely to be tricky to operate the infotainment system while you're driving. But at least it looks like the aircon has a separate panel to control it, rather than it being buried somewhere within the touchscreen itself. And Hyundai says the Ioniq 5 comes with dynamic voice recognition to help use the software too. There's also said to be an augmented reality display which can project information like directions from the sat-nav onto the windscreen. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard, with wireless phone charging and an upgraded Bose stereo system likely to appear on the options list. And if you're wondering about the other tech available with the Ioniq 5, it will get adaptive cruise control with steering and lane change assistance, as well as a self-parking system. Elsewhere inside, there's quite a lot of adjustment. The center console itself can be moved forwards and back with 140mm of travel, and the front seats can be fully reclined if you want to have a nap, but ideally not when you're driving. The second row seats can slide forwards and backwards, and they split fold 60/40 if you need to increase the boot space. The front seat backs are also said to be slim to help optimize rear legroom. And depending on the trim, bits of the interior like the seat and door armrest coverings are said to be made from recycled materials. But how far will the Ioniq 5 travel on a full charge? Well, there will be a few different versions you can choose from. There's a smaller battery or a bigger battery, and both can be had with rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. In its most basic form, the Ioniq 5 will get a 58 kWh battery pack with a single electric motor delivering 168 brake horsepower. It's not been officially announced, but that car will likely have a range of around 250 miles, which is pretty impressive, and will cover 0 to 62 miles per hour in 8.5 seconds. You can also go for a 73 kWh battery with a more powerful 215 brake horsepower electric motor. And this version increases the range up to around 300 miles, a figure that has been confirmed. The most powerful Ioniq 5 you can buy gets 302 brake horsepower and will cover a 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint in just 5.2 seconds. So these figures make it look competitive against the latest crop of electric SUVs like the VW ID.4, Skoda Enyaq and the Ford Mustang Mach-E, although the Ioniq 5's maximum range doesn't quite grab the headlines in this crowd like the 380-mile version of the Mach-E. There are a few areas where the Ioniq 5 does really stand out though. It's going to be available with the option of adding a solar roof, which can charge the car on the move. Hyundai engineers suggest that in somewhere like southern Spain or Italy, it's possible to generate extra range of more than 1,200 miles over the course of a year. But we're yet to see the calculations behind that, and in the UK, that figure is likely to be far less. The Ioniq 5 will also be fitted with a conventional household plug below the rear seats, and with a specific adapter, the external recharging plug can be used as a power source. So you could actually, in theory, plug in and use power tools with the Ioniq 5, or it could even be used to recharge other electric cars. But where the Ioniq 5 could really shake up the market is with its charging speeds. Where the ID.4 can be charged at a rate of up to 125 kilowatts and the Mustang Mach-E's up to 150 kilowatts with their 400 volt battery technology, the Ioniq 5 with 800 volt battery technology will support charging of up to 220 kilowatts. This means at its fastest charging speed, which you'll get from a 350 kilowatt charger, it will get a 10 to 80% charge in just 18 minutes. But the bad news is, it's likely to be very difficult to find chargers in the UK that are capable of charging at such speeds, for now at least. And because of that, the Tesla Model Y, another electric SUV similar in size, range and performance, will still have the edge here. It can charge up to 250 kilowatts, and it has the major advantage of getting access to Tesla's widely available and well-maintained supercharger network. The only pricing information we have so far is for a special edition launch model called Project 45. It's priced from £45,000 in the UK after the government grant of £3,000 is applied, which is pretty pricey. There's no official confirmation on pricing for the future lineup, but if Hyundai wants this to really make a mark in the growing electric SUV market, it'll want to price those cheaper versions competitively against the VW ID.4 and Skoda Enyaq. So that's the Ioniq 5, but what next for Hyundai and EVs? Well, the Ioniq 6 will follow in 2022 as an electric executive saloon that will rival the Polestar 2 and the Tesla Model 3. And its design will take inspiration from the Prophecy concept that we've already seen. There will also be an Ioniq 7 in 2024 as a large SUV, which we've seen in a few teaser images already. And by the way, if you're wondering about the naming conventions, even numbers will be used for saloons and odd numbers for SUVs. So that's what you need to know about the Ioniq 5 and Hyundai's other EV plans. If you've enjoyed this video, why not give it a like? Tell us what you think about the car in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed to see all of our other new car reveals and reviews. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, go to whatcar.com to get a great saving off your next new car.